world is undergoing intense shifts from climate-related crises to political upheavals, leading to a surge in global displacement of persons. It is our collective responsibility to provide refuge and opportunities to displaced persons. In the early 20th century, many villages on Kenya's border towns became a sanctuary for waves of those fleeing violent conflict and drought. It is now a melting pot where diverse cultures converge, transcending place of origin boundaries and forging a unique fusion of traditions and identities. Certainly, the challenges faced by those seeking refuge and host communities are immense, but more profound are the bonds of solidarity that form this mosaic of humanity. All work hand in hand to build new lives and also a sense of community.
Actions that are underway are due to recognize the refugee documentation, that is the identification, the identity card, as a document that one can use to access services, to register for telcos, to engage in money transfer, to access employment, to be able to take children to school, and to access National Social Security Fund, which today they enjoy for those who have the ID card. There is also a policy on recognition of prior learning, where a refugee who may have come with a talent, a teacher, a nurse, plumber, artisan, is taken through the National Industrial Training Authority and the Quality Assurance Authority together accredit that prior skill, and therefore that enhances the employability into the country. The National Education Management Integrated System policy is at the draft stage where the integration of refugees into the National Education Management System will also ensure that the children progressively acquire the skills and are able to enjoy that. Finally, the aspect of the municipalities, all the attendant infrastructure that will come with the municipality in Kakuma and Dadaab will be enjoyed by the refugee and host community, and that enhances the integration, the socio-economic. Finally, the aspect of data. What we are talking about data, we do budgets and planning through data, through statistics. They inform us. We analyze those data so that then we are able to know the demographics and therefore plan for the refugees as we integrate them into the society. It is critical at this time of digital era that as we migrate the data for refugee, as we have the Kenya government data red database for the refugee, that the rest of the population of the country are enjoying 10,000 services, government services online. Can the refugees also enjoy the same? Yes, it is possible with our database. Thank you.
Beyond that joint programming, we of course need to align with the support that will be coming from other actors, from the US, from the EU, from the World Bank, from the private sector, from many other member states in the room, and from foundations. It's going to be an enormous lift and a multi-year lift. You can tell we're pretty excited about it with Caroline, who is sitting just behind us here as the leader for UNHCR on the ground. I think you can look to UN Kenya to bring forward a really joined up kind of support and sustained over multiple years. And as I close then, Ralph, let me just pick one small symbol of how that's already happening. There's a fabulous initiative, Government of Japan, Toyota, and UN Women. Up around Kakuma, Kalobeye, they've opened a branch of the Toyota Kenya Academy that is already training women auto mechanics from both the refugee and the host population together. And we're progressively shifting all of the maintenance contracts for our vehicles on ground in Turkana to that academy. So there already you have just in capsule the kind of opportunity to build economic development across refugee and host populations for an extraordinary future.
Allow me to share some notable achievements of Shirika Plan. First, the Refugee Act number 10 of 2021 contains transformative changes that align with the Global Compact for Refugees, localized in Kenya through the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework. This legislation has been referred to by the previous speakers. The Act also safeguards the rights of refugees, asylum seekers, and host communities. It clearly defines responsibilities among all players, government, partners, and stakeholders alike. Secondly, the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework in 2020, known as the SHARE, Social Economic Sharing by Host Refugees, has paved the way for the Shirika Plan.
We need to be clear-minded and clear-eyed, have a good vision here, and realize that challenges remain and are very, very steep. We were just talking about this with the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the challenge of terrorism, which is important in the region, the challenge of fragility in many countries, in both main neighbors, in this case, South Sudan and Somalia. Efforts are being made to overcome the cycle of climate change, insecurity and displacement, but the effort is ongoing, so the fragility is still there and needs to be supported in order to overcome. And then, of course, the situation inside Kenya also has aspects of fragility, especially from the climatic point of view, the economic point of view. So all of this needs to be taken into very serious consideration. Since the 90s, the presence of large numbers of refugees, especially from Somalia and South Sudan, has been very challenging for Kenya. And Kenya has grappled with tremendous challenges in terms of security, in terms of resources, in terms of impact on the environment due to the presence of these refugees. In fact, at some point, I remember when I took over this office a few years back, Dadaab, the refugee camp for the Somali refugees, had become almost the symbol of a negative model, a non-sustainable model, which generated poverty, insecurity, and all sorts of problems. But very early on, I think many in Kenya saw that it was important to change the directions. And the first pilots, in fact, of what we now call integrated settlements happened in Kenya, on the other side of the country, in Kakuma, at the border with South Sudan. And this was really due to the vision of some very forward-looking people in Kenya, the governor of Turkana County, for example, the vision of some donors that supported us from the beginning, the vision of my UNHCR colleagues, including Rauf, who was then representative in Kenya.